I know you're asking today, how long will it take? Somebody's asking, how long will prejudice blind the visions of men? I come to say to you this afternoon, however difficult the moment,
Yes, sir.
however frustrating the hour, it will not be long, because truth crushed earth will rise again.
Yes, sir.
How long? Not long.
Yes, sir.
Because no lie can live forever.
Yes, sir.
How long? Not long.
How long?
Because you shall reap what you sow.
Yes, sir.
How long? Not long.
How long?
Truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne.
Yes, sir.
Yes, that scaffold sways the future.
Yes.
Behind the dim unknown standeth God within the shadow, keeping watch above his own. How long? Not long. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice.
Yes, sir.
How long? Not long.
Not long.
Because mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Yes, sir.
He's trampling out the vintage where the grapes of wrath are stored.
Yes, sir.
He's loosed the fateful lightning of his terrible swift sword.
Yes, sir.
His truth is marching on.
Yes, sir.
He has sounded forth the trumpet that shall never call retreat. He is sifting out the hearts of men before his judgment seat. Oh, be swift, my soul, to answer him. Be jubilant, my feet. Our God is marching on. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. Glory, hallelujah. His truth is marching on.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let its
if science is quiet.
Let freedom ring till the victory is won.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we've hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please welcome Stacy Clayton, Regional Affairs Director for Wayne State University and a WSU alumna.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am so excited, emotional. Get myself together. Thank you so much for being here. Can we have another round of applause for the Detroit Academy of Arts and Sciences Choir and Anaya Hall and the Detroit PAL Cheerleaders? It is both an honor and a privilege to welcome you to the 25th anniversary of Wayne State University's tribute to the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., a man who changed history. Our program's theme is 60 years after Selma, and we're still marching. We will reflect on the Selma marches, which were a series of 3 protest marches held in 1965 from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama. Hundreds of people marched from Selma to Montgomery. At the Edmund Pettus Bridge, state troopers attacked the marchers with clubs, bullwhips, and tear gas on Sunday, March 7th. This day became known as Bloody Sunday. Throughout today's event, we will reflect on the Selma marches that were a turning point in the civil rights movement and led to the passing of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Dr. King taught us that the time is always right to do what is right. His commitment to nonviolent resistance and his unwavering dedication to civil rights transformed this country and the world. As we heard on the opening video, Dr. King's words still echo today, urging us to continue his efforts toward a more just society, one where all people are treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. Today, we honor Dr. King's memory. We also recognize the progress that has been made, yet, as our title says, we are still marching, literally and figuratively, to ensure Dr. King's dream of justice and equality for all. It is up to us as individuals and as a community to carry forward the dream of Dr. King to create a country of unity. As we move through our program, we will have King reflections that not only honor Dr. King, but remind us of those who also dedicated and even lost their lives in the fight for civil rights. We must remember that we all have a role in continuing Dr. King's mission. Thank you to Kelly Cawthorn for sponsoring our outstanding speakers reception last night at the historic Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity House. Anyone here in the audience who was there at that reception last night? Thank you so much, that was outstanding. And we offer sincere appreciation to Amazon for being our presenting sponsor for the 4th year in a row for this tribute. We could not do it without them and our other sponsors. And likewise, I also must recognize Rocket Companies for their continued sponsorship of the Dr. Arthur L. Johnson Community Leadership Awards. You will hear more about Dr. Johnson later, but he was a man who, through his work at Wayne State and the Detroit NAACP, tirelessly fought to end racial discrimination. We are grateful to all of our sponsors that you see on the screen, the majority of who are also return each year to Wayne State to help us put on this exceptional program to honor Dr. King, as well as other community engagement and programming throughout the year. Let's all give a round of applause to our sponsors. Thank you to our presenters and performers, and I cannot wait to hear Dr. Haynes' message as our keynote speaker today. And most importantly, thank you for being here with us on our campus. Wayne State is the heart of Detroit, and we, like Dr. King, embrace our beloved community and believe that equity and fairness are realistic and achievable goals for everyone. Thank you so much.
Hello, everybody. It's so exciting to be here today. On behalf of our entire university, let me be the first to welcome you. I see so many community friends here in the audience to Wayne State University's 25th annual tribute to the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. We gather here today in celebration, but also with heavy hearts. You all probably are aware that we tragically lost a member of our campus community this week. Sharif Al-Dinar, who provided our medical students and our students across our campus critical guidance and support. He was taken from his family and our community far too soon. Sharif brought incredible positivity and energy to his work, and I'm amazed at how many people across our campus knew and loved him. The reason I mention him in particular for today, he attended this event every time he worked at Wayne State for every year, and he was always amongst the first to register. So if I could ask everyone in remembrance of Sharif, in his spirit of giving, in reflection of this day, to please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you all, I appreciate that. Now today, we honor Dr. King's enduring legacy for his fight for justice and equality and the power of our community. This year's event carries even deeper significance as we mark two milestones: 25 years of Wayne State's tribute to Dr. King and 60 years since the historic voting rights march from Selma to Montgomery, a show of unity that truly changed our world. It is a tremendous amount of work to create an event like this of such importance and magnitude each year. Please join me in appreciating the effort and collaboration of everyone who brought together today's celebration. Let me join, and I hope you all will do too, a round of applause for Director Stacy Clayton, the Division of University Relations, and our entire WSU Special Events team, and all of our outstanding volunteers. Will you all please stand so we can recognize your work? Thank you. Is this awesome or what? Indeed, thank you all. As Detroit's hometown university, Wayne State stands firmly rooted in the ideals that underpin our democracy championed by Dr. King. We know that excellence comes from the welcoming, the belonging, and the inclusion of individuals of all backgrounds, and that together their voices strengthen our collective progress. Wayne State's community of students and faculty and staff and partners and friends is truly a pluralistic mosaic which moves all of us forward, better together and better as a whole. Dr. King's call to action challenges us to go beyond words. His vision reminds us that progress happens when we act together with purpose and with courage. At Wayne State, we embrace this responsibility by working for our community, in our community, and hand in hand with our community. We are Michigan's University of Opportunity, and we are committed to the prosperity of everyone in our community. As we reflect on 60 years after Selma, and we're still marching, let us remember that progress depends on purposeful determination. Let us recommit to advancing justice for all. And B, as our wonderful DAAS choir will perform, One Nation Under a Groove. Thank you all for being here and for your engagement and for your contributions to our university community. The March for Justice continues. Together, we will carry Dr. King's legacy forward. Thank you.
President Espy's remarks will be followed by Shirley Stancato, Chair of the Wayne State Board of Governors and a WSU alumna.
Good morning. And on behalf of the Wayne State University Board of Governors, I want to welcome you to Wayne State this morning and our 25th annual tribute to the life and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. Thank you to all of you for joining us in this milestone commemoration of Dr. King, and specifically the 60th anniversary of the historic Selma to Montgomery March for voting rights that Dr. King led. Joining me from the Board of Governors today, and I'm never alone, is Governor Anil Kumar. Anil, you're here. Would you please stand, Governor Kumar, and be recognized? Thank you for being here. Now, we can best celebrate Dr. King's legacy by taking account of the full scope of his work. This must include reflection upon the ultimate goal of civil rights movement. As Dr. King would say, justice for all. His dream did not rest on legislative victories alone, but on the promise of a better future for everyone. Now, it's absurd to say that the civil rights movement solved all of our problems. We all know that's not true. But the history of that movement teaches us something profound about conflict and what it means to win. Dr. King spoke about that winning, what winning looks like, when giving a speech in 1962, before the Civil Rights Act was passed and before the Voting Rights Act was passed. In that speech, he predicted how his movement would ultimately succeed. Here is the remarkable way he described nonviolence as strength and not weakness. And I quote, "We've come to the point where we're able to say to those who will even use violence to block us, we will match your capacity to inflict suffering with our capacity to endure suffering. We will meet your physical force with soul force. Do to us what you will, and we still will love you. And so, throw us in jail, and we will still love you. Bomb our homes and threaten our children, and as difficult as it is, we will still love you. Send your hooded perpetrators of violence into our communities after midnight hours and drag us out onto some wayside road and beat us and leave us half dead, and we will still love you. Be ye assured that we will wear you down by our capacity to suffer, and one day we will win our freedom. We will not only win freedom for ourselves, we will so appeal to your heart and your conscience that we will win you in the process." This is the lesson I ask you to take from today's event. Keep in mind that we can only achieve justice for all by appealing to heart and conscience so that we will win each other in the process. Thank you.
Mr. Ian Conyers, Head of Community Affairs, Amazon.
Good morning. It is an honor to be here today. Ian Conyers, the Head of Community Engagement for Amazon. On behalf of 30,000 Amazonians across the state and thousands right here in the city of Detroit, we are honored to serve as the sponsor of the Martin Luther King Day celebration. And it's an honor to be at Wayne State, where so many of my family members earned their degree. My grandfather, William Conyers, my grandmother, Shirley, my uncle, Nate Conyers, and the late, great Congressman John Conyers, Jr., right here at Wayne State University. And I think that's incredibly important because these three young men are the sons of a man, John Conyers, Sr., who arrived in Detroit in 1920 with a third grade education. And right here, he was able to, through instilling the values of education and hard work in his sons, make a way for his family to be here today. And so thinking about 1960, 1964, 1965, these heroes of the civil rights generation remind us that the work must continue today. And although we're 60 years from Selma, I want to remind you all that in the summer of 1964, Martin Luther King Jr. was here knocking doors for his 36-year-old friend, John Conyers Jr. And those of you will remember his motto was jobs, justice, and peace. And he wanted to always remind us that it's not just political justice, but economic justice, housing justice, healthcare justice. And Dr. King reminded us each and every day that no hour of your life is wasted marching for justice. Thank you all, and we're looking forward to the ceremony today.
Please enjoy this King reflection by Wayne Law student and Damon J. Keith scholar Arthur Harrington III, followed by WSU Performing Arts student Romello Seals.
Good morning, everybody. No, we can do better than that. Good morning, everybody. I'm so excited to be here today and reflecting on the life and legacy of our great Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So I am honored to stand before you today because I stand on the shoulders of three great men. I received my undergraduate degree from historically black college and university, Hampton University. Just like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., he received his degree from HBCU Morehouse College. And I am a proud recipient of the Judge Damon J. Keith Scholarship. I'm a law student at Wayne, thank you. I'm a law student at Wayne State University School of Law, and just like Congressman John Conyers was. And the common thread of these men is their steadfast fight for civil rights. Judge Keith was a prominent federal judge, known for his significant contributions to civil rights and his unwavering commitment to justice. He was appointed to the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of Michigan by President Lyndon B. Johnson in 1967. Judge Keith became a key figure in upholding civil rights protections during a very turbulent period in American history. Additionally, Wayne State is the home of the Damon J. Keith Center for Civil Rights at Wayne State University School of Law, which I'm a proud recipient of. This is an amazing $5.7 million addition to the Wayne State University Law School that chronicles his judicial career. The legal history of the civil rights movement and the accomplishments of the African American community and lawyers and judges run through the Judge Damon J. Keith Scholarship Program. And today we are here for the 25th anniversary of the Wayne State University Tribute to Dr. King, and to recognize the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights March from Selma, Alabama to Montgomery, Alabama. In 2015, Congressman Conyers wrote a first-hand newspaper article about his being in Selma during that time. And today, we will experience an excerpt read by Wayne State Performing Arts student Romello Seals. Thank you.
I was in Selma, Alabama, on the historic Freedom Day to register voters. Tensions were high, and leaders were escalating their tactics. I saw the inequality and violence that African Americans endured on a daily basis. It crippled our communities. All of what I experienced should have scared me enough to avoid challenging the system that allowed these injustices to occur. But my father, a union organizer, taught me that if the door of opportunity cracked open, we must dare to open it wider and hold it open for as many people as possible. That's why, after seeing what I witnessed, I knew that I had to act. I could leverage my legal experience to change and create laws that guaranteed equal treatment no matter the color of a person's skin. In the letter, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. urged me to remove every remaining barrier to the free exercise of the ballot by our Negro citizens. And I knew that I had to make it my mission. That's why my first speech on the House floor as a member of Congress was to recount the events I'd seen firsthand in Selma and urge my colleagues to pass the Voting Rights Act. It didn't solve all inequality, but it finally forced elected officials to be accountable to uphold the Constitution they were elected to defend. Thank you.
Please welcome Chiara Clayton to perform Rise Up.
Broken down and tired. silence isn't quiet. It's feeling like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying. But I promise you we'll bring the world to its feet and move mountains. We'll bring them to its feet and move mountains. In our rising, I'll rise like the wave. We'll rise up in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. All we need is hope. And for that we got each other. For that we got each other. We will rise, we will rise, we will rise. Oh, we rise. Now rise up, I'll rise like the way. I'll rise up in spite of all the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, we'll rise like the day. We'll rise up, we'll rise unafraid. We'll rise up, we'll do it 1,000 times again.
And now, the presentation of the Warrior Strong Distinguished Service Award by the President of Wayne State University, Dr. Kimberly Andrews Espy.
Round of applause. Was that amazing or what? So it is my honor to present the Warrior Strong Distinguished Service Award. This award was introduced as a part of this event in 2022 to recognize the exceptional leadership of an individual with a career of impact at the end of their public service. It is my profound honor to announce that the 2025 recipient of the Warrior Strong Distinguished Service Award, there is no one more deserving than our beloved former U.S. Senator from this great state, Debbie Stabenow. Now, I don't need to tell you. There you go. I must say, I am personally blessed to have had the opportunity to work directly with her to advocate for Wayne State and for our community. She has an amazing and has been such a powerful and impactful voice for equality and economic opportunity, and a true champion for our community. She is a forceful advocate on behalf of civil rights, sponsoring legislation against hate crimes and racial profiling, and a fierce defender of equality in education, advancing health for all, and promoting environmental justice. As Michigan's first female U.S. Senator, she is a trailblazer in politics and has inspired so many young women to pursue leadership roles in public service. Please let's watch a video that captures a little bit of her impact and service in her leadership and achievements.
Never seen a U.S. Senator play the boogie woogie? Michigan's Debbie Stabenow whose dad blew sax when he wasn't selling Oldsmobiles, has been musical since she was a kid.
I grew up in a very musical family. My dad played jazz saxophone. He actually had a band, a swing band, but he always played the boogie woogie, which kind of is our family anthem. Everybody, you don't have to do anything else, but you have to learn how to play the boogie woogie.
In 2000, she became the state's first woman U.S. Senator. Now, after rising to become the third-ranking Democrat in the Senate and chair of the Agriculture Committee, she's stepping away at the end of this term. At her home near Lansing, she spoke to the Free Press recently about her surprise decision.
This was a very personal decision. I knew it would be, once folks started talking, it would be explosive. And so, it was a very close-knit conversation with my family and a few key staff. We had the election and the wonderful success and all the wonderful new leaders in Michigan, the young people that came out, was very inspiring. And I thought, this is the moment for me to pass the torch. It's a good time. I feel as a leader that you should always know when to leave, not stay too long. And this is the moment for me, I think, that makes sense.
She has plenty of accomplishments to her credit, having passed 2 sweeping farm bills and changing how mental health care is provided. She helped get the new Soo Lock construction underway, and she was a key player in the 2009 rescue of the auto industry.
I'm very proud of the way I get things done working across the aisle. I was actually really touched by the number of Republican colleagues that called me after my announcement, who I've worked with on various things, who said, we want to work with you, whether it's Great Lakes, whether it's agriculture, whether it's mental health, whatever it is. People have said, we want to work with you next 2 years. We want to get a lot of things done. So I appreciate that. I've always been about trying to get things done. And so if that means, and this has happened more than once to me, where the other side wanted their name at the top of the bill but would let me write the substance. And I will take that deal any day of the week, and have. And so it's not about ego. I have an ego like anybody else, but it really has not been about personal ego. It's been about how do you get things done, and people, once people see you get something done, there'll be more than enough credit for everybody.
The senator leaves a huge legacy across our entire state and our country. But on behalf of our university, I want to thank her personally for the lasting impact here at Wayne State. And I'll just recount a couple of things. Her support for funding for our perinatal research branch work here at Wayne State, meeting with Wayne State students regularly in Washington, D.C. for issue advocacy, visiting our campus and discussing legislation to reduce educational debt with our students, supporting our congressionally directed spending request to support our new School of Public Health, ensuring that her Southeast Michigan office was always responsive to Wayne State. And thank you, Terry Campbell, for helping us with this. Providing sage insights to many university presidents and leaders, including me, and for her work here at Wayne State, thank you. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Senator Debbie Stabenow, the 2025 Warrior Strong Distinguished Service Award recipient.
Good morning, and thank you so much. It's so wonderful to be here. Wayne State University, the heart and soul of Detroit. It's wonderful. Always to be here. And President Espy and the board and Patrick Lindsay, who we work with so closely. I'm so proud of all of you. I truly am. And it is important that we're here today, particularly in light of all this happening around the world, all this happening in our country, that we recommit ourselves. I think this is so very important. When I decided to pass the torch, I did not decide to go away and stop engaging. As my friend John Lewis would say, I'm going to continue to provide good trouble. So I just won't be doing it as an elected official. But it is so very important. And my biggest concern about all of the chaos and churn now is that good people will decide it's not worth it and not participate anymore. I can tell you, as someone who's been involved in public service for a long time, both at the county and the state level and federal level, it never works if you disengage. It never works. You have to be engaged in the ups and the downs, and when things happen and we take a step back, then you just double down so we can move forward. So I'm grateful for this recognition. I am grateful for having had the really honor of my life to suit up every day and to go into DC and fight for you and your family and real opportunities in jobs, in justice, in peace. But I want to just close. There's so many wonderful quotes of Dr. King. We know so many of them. Incredible, incredible life and inspiration. But one thing I remember that he said that I think is important for today, he said, human progress is neither automatic or inevitable. Every step towards the goal of justice requires struggle. This is no time for apathy and complacency. This is a time for vigorous and positive action. Let's take today to recommit to positive, relentless action to move forward as a state, as a city, as a country. Thank you so much.
And now, Patrick Lindsay, WSU Community Affairs Vice President, and Jermaine Pegues, Detroit NAACP Special Projects Manager and WSU alumnus, will introduce the Dr. Arthur L. Johnson Community Leadership Award, presented by Rocket Companies.
Good morning. This is my part on the program. I got outbid to do the singing by Chiara Clayton, so I guess I'll do my part that Stacy instructed. As we are gathered here today, as you heard earlier, we're here because of Dr. Johnson's vision for Wayne State University to honor his Morehouse classmate and his dear friend, Reverend Dr. King. Now, Jermaine Pegues and I are unique because we both stand in the shadow of Dr. Johnson. We represent work that he began. He joined Wayne State in 1965 as a part-time sociology faculty member, but in 1979, he became a director of the Department of Community Relations here at Wayne State, and in 1992, he was named Senior Vice President for University Relations. Now, as Wayne State's first Black executive vice president, Dr. Johnson advocated for the hiring of more minorities and more women and more Blacks in all employment levels. At the time, then President Dr. David Anamani called Dr. Johnson the conscience of Wayne State. Now, former Detroit Mayor Dave Bing recalled that when he arrived in Detroit as a member of the Detroit Pistons, there were 3 men in mind that he wanted to contact: Mayor Coleman Young, Judge Damon J. Keith, and Dr. Arthur Johnson. He said that these were the kind of role models who represent what is expected of strong Black men. They were sensitive to the issues facing our people and weren't afraid to speak up and to speak out when it comes to the truth. Whether it was leading the NAACP or Wayne State or in the arts community, Dr. Johnson was always there. He had a tremendous positive impact not only on Wayne State, but on the community at large. Today, I proudly serve as Vice President of Community Relations here at Wayne State in the shadow cast by Dr. Johnson.
Prior to joining Wayne State University, Dr. Johnson served as Executive Secretary of the Detroit branch in AACP from 1950 to 1964. In 1987, he reassumed his Detroit NAACP tenure and served as the president until 1993. Before coming to our great city, Dr. Johnson had already helped Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. form a campus branch of the NAACP at Morehouse College in Atlanta, Georgia. During his years at the NAACP, Dr. Johnson helped stage the sit-ins at restaurants on Woodward Avenue and helped enlarge Detroit branch NAACP into one of the nation's largest and most successful branches. It still maintains that status today under the leadership of Wayne State University alumni, Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony. While Dr. Johnson may have not received the acclaim he deserved on the national stage, he was a tireless worker for civil rights. Dr. Johnson's contribution in Detroit and its metropolitan area were unmatched and helped lead Detroit NAACP in various capacities for more than 40 years. He was a part of a leadership team that inaugurated the annual Fight for Freedom Fund dinner that was first held in 1956, which is still the largest sit-down fundraiser dinner in the world. The annual Fight for Freedom Fund dinner continues to draw thousands of people from around the world and raise significant dollars each year. Today, I proudly fill and serve as the role of a special project manager for the Detroit branch in AACP, including the project manager for the annual Fight for Freedom Fund dinner. See you all in June.
So both Jermaine and I are proud to stand on the shoulders of Dr. Johnson. In Dr. Johnson's memoir, Race and Remembrance, he said, "I always wanted to be a valuable person, not an important person." And the same could be said about my brother and my friend, the late Dr. William F. Pickard, recipient of this year's Dr. Arthur L. Johnson Community Leadership Award. Both men were incredibly humble and personified Dr. King's quote, "The time is always right to do what is right." And just as Dave Bing revered Dr. Johnson and Judge Keefe, so did Dr. Pickard. In 1978, the DSO, Detroit Symphony Orchestra, established its Classical Roots Celebration, a tribute to Black composers and Black classical music. In 2019, this gala was renamed the Arthur L. Johnson Honorable Damon J. Keefe Classical Roots Celebration, done so following a generous endowment gift by Dr. William Pickard, who counted Dr. Johnson and Judge Keefe as two of his biggest mentors. In addition to Dr. Pickard's philanthropy, he was a successful entrepreneur. His business endeavors include being one of the first Black men in the country to own a McDonald's franchise. He was the founding co-managing partner of MGM Grand Detroit Casino and co-owner of 5 Black-owned newspapers, including the Michigan Chronicle. And like Dr. King, Reverend Dr. Freddie Haynes III, Brother Ewell Perkins, and myself, Dr. Pickard was a proud member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. 06. Let's see a video about this remarkable man, Dr. William Pickard.
I'm not an engineer, I'm not a manufacturing guy, I'm not a cost accountant, but I know how to manage people, because at the end of the day, no matter how good you are in business, it's a team that wins it for you. You must visualize what you want to actualize. Vision is critical in the entrepreneurial process.
Failure is a natural part of this game of entrepreneurship, and I would suggest to you it's a natural part of life. But in this game of entrepreneurship, failure is a natural part of the process. If you don't believe it, ask General Motors.
Legacy to me means more than just that. It means what have I done in my community and the broader community to help. I'm an education person. I give a lot, but it's primarily in the area of education. And because so many people help me, I try to return that to my community. I just believe strongly that if you're hungry and if you wake up every morning with a zen to make something happen, you got a head start on everyone else.
Bill is very easy to know. He doesn't hide behind titles. He does not want to do anything more than be of help to people and to make you feel comfortable.
I was charged with raising $127 million to build the Martin Luther King Memorial. So who do I call? I call Bill Pickard and say, I need $1 million from you and everybody else that you know. Dr. Pickard did that and much more. I'm gonna ask all alpha men, if you can, he has touched all of our lives.
UNCF and its member institutions have benefited greatly through the years from the generosity of this great man, Dr. Bill Pickard. It's not just the financial gifts that he's given, it's the time that he's given to HBCUs, the mentoring that he's given to students around the country, people that have gone on to become great leaders that some know directly and some may never know that they benefited from the great generosity and effort of Dr. Bill Pickard.
We have 7-figure gifts at over 6, half a dozen arts and cultural institutions. And just so you know the magnitude of his gifts, we have scholarships at over 42 colleges and universities around this country. And many of those scholarships, or most of those scholarships, are not in his name. They are in the names of people who have been influential in his life.
Dad, I'm just so thankful for you and for all of the lessons that you've taught me and then for all the memories that we've shared. Thank you for being the unwavering support system that I've always needed. Thank you for being a gentle, kind, loving heart and for guiding me when I didn't even know I needed it. So thank you so much and I love you dearly.
Get an opportunity to actually give a toast for a man that means so much to so many. For a man that has given his entire life in the service of others.
And I just want to thank you because I can tell you unequivocally, your presence tonight has altered my life. I thank you from the bottom of my heart, and you have made this day one of the best days of my life.
Please welcome Cheryl Kubiak, Dean of the Wayne State School of Social Work.
Good morning. I am privileged and honored to tell you about Dr. Pickard's direct connection to Wayne State University. As you saw in the video, Dr. Pickard was a renowned entrepreneur and philanthropist. But in addition to those business endeavors, Dr. Pickard was a brilliant leader who recognized that education was paramount. We heard about the millions of dollars that he invested in historically black colleges and universities and the United Negro College Fund. But he did more than just give money. He gave of himself. Surprising to many of you, Dr. Pickard was a faculty member in the School of Social Work before he purchased that McDonald's franchise. In his most recent book, Dr. Pickard spoke about his training in social work facilitated his success in the business world. Even after achieving that financial success through his businesses, Dr. Pickard remembered his social work roots and became a long-term supporter of Wayne State University. He very generously donated funds to support renovations to our beautiful new School of Social Work building. In addition, several endowed scholarships support students who are members of the Association of Black Social Workers, an intern at Black Family Development, or another similar agency that serves Detroit families. And as you saw in the video, each of his 5 scholarships that Dr. Pickard contributed to Wayne State are made in honor of someone else, someone who had a significant impact on his life. I know he had a significant impact on mine, and I learned a great deal from him. The 2025 Dr. Arthur L. Johnson Community Leadership Award is presented posthumously to Dr. William F. Pickard because of his exemplary character, unselfish giving, and lasting impact locally, nationally, and internationally on business, education, in the community. Accepting the award is his daughter, Mary Pickard.
Good morning. My name is Mary Pickard, and I am so honored and thankful to be here to accept the award on behalf of my dad. Many of the videos and images you saw from that video were at a birthday party we threw for him last January, so about 2 weeks from today. And although it was a beautiful 83rd birthday celebration, we didn't know if it would be the last one, but I think my dad captured the words that that moment changed his life because he was around so many friends and family that it was just so happy to see. But I know that my dad and his dear friend, Dr. Arthur Johnson, are looking down and are, if I can borrow a phrase from Reverend Haynes, peacock proud that we are celebrating their legacies today. But I think they're also so much more excited and proud that their legacies will continue for years and decades to come, and that the work that they started, we know is not finished, but we have so much encouragement to continue the journey. Thank you again to Wayne State for this beautiful award, and I'm so excited and proud to be here. Thank you.
And now, please welcome back to the stage the dynamic Detroit Academy of Arts and Sciences Show Choir, under the direction of Angela Key, featuring Wayne State Performing Arts students Anaya Hall and King Bethel, performing One Nation Under a Groove, Detroit style.
So high, you can't get around it. So low, do it, children. So high, you can't get over it. We gon' break it down. It's all out of my streets, out of my streets, we start all you do. Say you don't tell me now. Hey, ready or not, here. Members of this choir. Dr. King will be more than proud of us to know that he's still striving for one dream, one people, and one nation under a roof. Can y'all get with that? What the world needs now is funk on every block. Cause everybody rocks when the mothership docks. With rhythm on our side, we cannot be stopped. And the predatory citizens, listen, we are not. See my ex for the next generation. We are a continuum, surging with urgent patience. More than millennials, we are perennial hemorrhage. Listening to ethnic generals, embracing notes from Grace Lee scroll. As these days are great, we make broken streets whole. Resilience is brilliance, the key is children. Tomorrow is promise, continue to take billions. We a community of beauty and passion, endeavor to fashion what the hell is man.
Our next King Reflection will be given by Kim Trent, Wayne State University Board of Governors member emerita and a WSU alumna.
Good morning. First, I'd like to have a word with Stacey Clayton for making me follow that. Thanks, Stacey. Really, really great job. 10 years ago, civil rights activist Viola Liuzzo was posthumously awarded an honorary doctorate degree in laws from Wayne State University, recognizing contributions to society. And it was the first time in Wayne State University's history that the Board of Governors posthumously awarded an honorary degree. The honor came 50 years after Mrs. Liuzzo, a mother of 5 and Wayne State University nursing student, was killed in Selma, Alabama. As an adult living in Detroit in 1965, Mrs. Liuzzo watched the atrocities that were happening to Black people in the South on television and felt compelled to act. She recalled witnessing firsthand as a child the injustice and discrimination faced by Black people. She decided to answer Dr. King's call for volunteers and assist with voting rights demonstrations that were taking place in Selma. Mrs. Liuzzo drove from Detroit to Selma by herself in her Oldsmobile to join Dr. King, John Lewis, and hundreds of others in a march for voting rights. She joined the fight for equality because, as she told her husband as she prepared to depart Detroit, it's everybody's fight. But she never came home. Mrs. Liuzzo was murdered by 3 Klansmen on the last night of the 1965 Selma to Montgomery Voting Rights March while driving activists between Selma and Montgomery, Alabama. This morning, I am honored to share Viola Liuzzo's story with you. Long before I became a member of the Wayne State University Board of Governors, I urged the university to honor Mrs. Liuzzo for her tremendous and selfless actions to move the struggle for civil rights forward. In 2015, the Liuzzo family traveled to Detroit from all over the country to attend the honorary degree ceremony and accept the award on her behalf. Viola Liuzzo was the only white woman who was killed for her activism in the civil rights movement. However, her death was not in vain. It was a pivotal moment in the campaign to pass the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 60 years later, the courage, commitment, and compassion of Viola Liuzzo should continue to inspire us all.
Our final musical performance will be presented by the Wayne State Freedom Players Social Justice Theater Ensemble, directed by Valencia Charnel Hines and Dr. Ross Mikey Courtney.
And before I be a slave, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to my Lord and be free. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, freedom. Oh, never can win this word. Individually, take the words of the elders and the young. With energy, welcome to the story. Big glory, I'm coming to the Lord. My eyes have seen the Lord. One day, when the glory comes, it'll be ours. It'll be ours. Oh, one day, when the glory is won, we will be sure. We will be sure. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. Oh, glory. Oh, I'm shouting glory. I'm singing glory. I'm shouting glory.
We are honored to have award-winning broadcaster and WSU Journalism Institute for Media Diversity 2012 honoree Huel Perkins to introduce our keynote speaker.
Thank you, thank you. Let's hear it again for the Wayne State University Freedom Players. Weren't they fantastic? Wonderful. Well, in my 30-plus years as an anchor and reporter here in Detroit, I have been blessed with a front row seat to history, able to see and listen and to interview some of the most important leaders and speakers of our time. And this morning, my friends, you will have the same experience. You too will be here with a front row seat to history. Because this morning, our keynote speaker is the Reverend Dr. Frederick Douglass Haynes III, author, instigator, motivator, and dynamic senior pastor of the Friendship West Baptist Church in Dallas, Texas. Because of his passion for justice and his eloquence in the pulpit, everybody around the country wants to hear him speak, but he is here this morning. Yes, indeed. Now, it's hard to imagine that when he was a young man, he didn't want to be a preacher. He didn't want to preach. That's what his daddy did, but he didn't want to do it. So in his first few years of college, he majored in sociology, in English, and in having a good time. Now, don't judge now. I was the same way, and I know some of you were too. But he was also always a voracious reader, consuming the words and wisdom of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the religious philosophy of Howard Thurman, and fusing that with a deep understanding of the Bible. His life is proof that the Word has the power to change hearts and minds. And now this young man has become a champion of human rights and one of the most inspiring preachers in the nation because of his belief that faith and action must go hand in hand to create the world we deserve. Please welcome Dr. Reverend Frederick Douglass Haynes III to the podium.
Thank you, Virgie, thank you. Thank you so much. Let me express my appreciation and admiration for the leadership of Wayne State University, President Espy, for your service and commitment to making a difference and, to use the language of Shakespeare, writing your signature on the future. We applaud you, so thank you so much. I also want to salute the distinguished honorees, including Senator Stabenow. Thank you for being sane in the midst of the craziness of Washington, D.C., and bringing your sanity to, again, leadership and service and representing Michigan so wonderfully. I've got to shout out the late, great Dr. William F. Pickard, my beloved frat brother, for just being a gift to so many and using his gifts to impact the world. And so I salute him as he looks down on us and is so proud of his amazing daughter, Mary. I've got to shout out the amazing Stacy Clayton. She has done a phenomenal job in birthing this experience. And so I am indeed excited to have this privilege to share. It's always a joy to come to the D, no place like Detroit, and it's especially on fire in light of the fact that I hope to see the Lions in New Orleans for the Super Bowl. So that is exciting. This has been a powerful program, and so I want to go ahead and share with you from the theme, the powerful theme, which is 60 years after Selma, we are still marching. 60 years after Selma, we are still marching. In that powerful song by John Legend and Common that was so wonderfully done a few moments ago, there's a line that leaped out at me that I share with you right now. Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. Raps Common. Common with pathos and poetic profundity is portraying the pain as well as the victory of Selma. Again, Common says, Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. If you let me unpack that, you'll discover that Common is on to something, because Common has the nerve poetically to go all the way back to Calvary. And there on Calvary, he talks about the fact that Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd on Good Friday, which was anything but good, because we witness on Good Friday the uniting in unholy wedlock of hypocritical religion with oppressive politics, and it gave birth to a lynching of a non-violent revolutionary from the hood in Nazareth by the name of Jesus. And so Common one more time says, Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. He got his crown by being victimized by police brutality, victimized by, as it were, a criminal justice system that was criminal and downright unjust. He got his crown by being lynched on a cross. And that's what I believe is a contradiction. It makes no sense. The culture today would simply say, make it make sense. The culture today would throw down and put it like this: the math ain't mathin' because of the contradictions. The culture is piggybacking on the poetic brilliance of, who is it? Paul Laurence Dunbar, who talked about contradictions poetically and said, a crust of bread and a corner to sleep in, a minute to smile but an hour to weep in, a pint of joy to a peck of trouble, never a laugh but the moans come double, and that's life. He's poetically portraying contradictions just like Common did, as Common again shows us the meaning of Selma. Selma, 60 years after Selma, we are still marching because of the contradictions in what Maya Angelou called these yet to be United States of America. Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. I think I'll hang out right there. Let's talk about Selma. Selma, March 7th, 1965, according to Kenyatta Gilbert in his wonderful book, Exodus Preaching. This is what was going on in these yet to be United States of America. We did not have Netflix, HBO, Showtime, and Stars. We basically had ABC, NBC, and NBC. Didn't even have Fox. As a consequence, on that Sunday night, please go back with me in this Sankofa moment. Sankofa, I borrowed that from the Akan people there in Ghana, where you look back in order to move forward. And as we look back to March 7th, 1965, don't miss this, that the nation was riveted by a television movie entitled A Judgment of Nuremberg. Ironically, the Judgment of Nuremberg
Nuremberg, starring Spencer Tracy, was recounting the horrors and heartbreak that had taken place in Nazi Germany under a charismatic leader whose ideology had tapped into the fears of the Germans. He rose to power by the name of Adolf Hitler. Hitler is engaged on the one hand in building some parts of Germany. After all, he was responsible for the construction of the Autobahn, but at the same time, he taps into the fears of some in Germany and otherizes the Jews, and as a consequence, 6 million Jews were exterminated there in Nazi Germany. White supremacy was on full display, and on March 7th, 1965, the movie The Judgment of Nuremberg is being shown. Watch this. They are showing this scene, this powerful scene, where the judge is talking to is being served by two Germans, and the judge is trying to figure out how is it that an insidious ideology combined with indifference on the part of the citizenry could result in such a horror, could result in such a leader running Nazi Germany. I hope y'all not missing this, because here is what was going on when he asked those German persons who were waiting on him, surely you knew what was happening. And the white woman responds, well, I really didn't know what was happening. We are just little people. And as little people, we knew that Hitler had done some good stuff. He had built the Autobahn, and then the husband interjects, and because we're little people, what could we have done anyway? They, in a real sense, had internalized a sense of being handcuffed by helplessness, and as a consequence, they determined that in the face of oppression, injustice, and inhumanity, they could not do anything because they saw themselves as little people. They could not do anything. And at that moment, Spencer Tracy's character sighs, takes a deep breath, and then watch what happened. We interrupt this movie to bring you this scene from Selma, Alabama. I hope y'all get that. In one moment, the nation is riveted by the horror, terror, and heartbreak of what took place in Nazi Germany, and some who were feeling they were helpless to do anything about it. And at that moment, they were interrupted by grainy images on black and white televisions of peaceful protesters who were non-violently trying to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and then they were brutally beaten. John Lewis, Amelia Boynton, and others brutally beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I gotta go with Carmen one more time when Carmen reminds us Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. Please don't miss what happened. We in the country are watching something that is horrific on television and judging it as it were, only to be interrupted by a grainy image from Selma, Alabama that put a mirror in the face of a country that calls itself abiding by democratic principles. What a contradiction. I think I can hang out there for just a moment, because the contradiction lives on. After all, my man Common says Selma is now. Selma is now. The contradictions are now. It's not lost on me that while we celebrate Dr. King today and in the days to come, we are in the midst of a war on DEI in this country, a war war on diversity, equity, and inclusion. How insane is that? You're going to celebrate Dr. King and recite I Have a Dream, including the part where King says he's dreaming about the day when we will sit together at the table of brotherhood and sisterhood in the family of humanity. And yet you want to declare war on diversity, equity, and inclusion, as if somehow someone being a beneficiary of diversity, equity, and inclusion is inferior. No, can I correct you right quick? DEI means we definitely earned it. DEI means we are dynamic, empowered, and inspired. I'm simply trying to say there's a contradiction going on in this country. We are claiming King and yet warring against DEI. Hold on, the contradictions continue, because it's not lost on me. Don't judge me, don't get mad at me, but there's a contradiction that's going to take place on Monday. Monday is the actual birthday celebration holiday of Dr. King, and only a few steps from where King declared I Have a Dream, August 28th, 1963, someone who has been in bed with white supremacists is going to put his hand on a Bible he's never read, raise his hand, and swear to uphold the Constitution of the United States, even though we know good and well he has violated that. And so the contradiction is mind-blowing. On the same day that we commemorate a king, we're going to inaugurate one who has done things that are contrary to the legacy and the dream of Dr. King. I'm simply trying to say Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Selma, my sisters and brothers, represents a contradiction where those who were peacefully protesting were brutally beaten. Selma is a contradiction. It's a contradiction because they were marching for the right to vote, and then as they're marching for the right to vote, they were wrongly brutalized. What a contradiction in these yet to be United States of America. A contradiction back then, a contradiction right now, because the sad reality is that the voting rights bill that resulted from what took place in Selma, Alabama in 1965 has been gutted and is now a shadow of its former self because of the relentlessness of racism in this country. What a contradiction. I live in a state, Texas, where sadly in Texas 1 million persons were purged from the voter rolls during the 2024 election. Why? Because Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. But hold on, I love our theme. Our theme says 60 years after Selma, we are still marching. I'm feeling that right there, because Selma is not just about the contradictions of brutally beaten peaceful protesters. It's about those who made up their mind that they believed in democracy even when they were victimized by the hypocrisy practiced by those who were running this democracy, and they kept on marching. They kept on marching, and as a consequence, they marched through Bloody Sunday all the way to Montgomery, Alabama, and you hear Martin King, the drum major for justice and peace, there on the steps of the state capitol in Montgomery, Alabama, say, we're on the move now. I like that right there, meaning they tried to stop us. They said that we would get here over their dead body, but we're on the move now. And as a consequence, I simply came to the D to let you know, yeah, 60 years after Selma, we're still marching, and we're marching in spite of oppression, marching in spite of injustice, marching marching in spite of the fact that we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And Dr. King would put it like this: we're on the move now. And since we're on the move now, the question becomes, what do we do? How do we move forward? We learned from Dr. King. According to Harry Belafonte, the week before Dr. King was assassinated there in Memphis, Tennessee, that King lamented to Harry Belafonte that he perhaps had integrated black people into a burning house, a house that was burning down, as King looked at what was happening in the nation and the relentlessness of racism and the wickedness of white supremacy. King said, I don't know if this country can change. And as a consequence, he said, I wonder if I have integrated our people into a house that is burning. Well, I simply want to say, y'all, we need to get ready and get our fire hoses out, because the house is on fire. It's on fire with the criminal justice system that is unjust and downright criminal. The house is on fire because, as President Biden tried to warn us just the other day, oligarchs have now made this a country where politicians go to the highest bidder. They've made it a country where, sadly, democracy not only goes to the highest bidder, but we have become an oligarchy. We have plutocrats who are plundering the poor, and sadly, we have so much money in politics that it really is not based on one person, one vote. Instead, it's based on who can pour the most money in the coffers. And so, yeah, on Monday, you're not just going to inaugurate a Trump, you're going to inaugurate Elon Musk as the next president of the United States. I'm simply trying to say the house is on fire, but we have a responsibility to say Selma inspires us 60 years later to keep on marching, take out our fire hoses, and make sure that we put out the fire and build a nation of liberty and justice for all. That is our challenge. Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Well, what does it look like? I'm almost done. Selma is now lets us know that there has to be some resilience in our resistance. I like that right there. Resilience means you keep on bouncing back. That's the meaning of Selma, after all, because you recognize that when they were beaten back on Bloody Sunday, March 7, 1965, they did not give up. They did not give in. They kept on, and as a consequence, they were arrested. The attention of Lyndon Baines Johnson. Johnson had said to Dr. King after the signing of the 64 Civil Rights Bill, Martin, I don't have enough power to get votes to pass a voting rights bill. Martin left the office with Andy Young, and Andy Young says Martin told him, when Andy said, Martin, what are we going to do? We need a voting rights bill. And that's when Martin said, we're going to Selma to get him some power. They marched in spite of Bloody Sunday. And when they marched in spite of Bloody Sunday, Lyndon Johnson gets on television and does an address before the nation, and ends up at the end of the address saying, and we shall overcome. Why? Because there was resilience in that resistance. Y'all miss your shout. I'll help you right quick. In a real sense, resistance is what they were about, and we must be about that resistance life. We've got to basically say, when we see wrong, we're going to stand for what's right in spite of what's wrong. That's why I got to shout out Michelle Obama, because Michelle Obama, watch this, Michelle Obama decides, I'm not going to go along with tradition. I'm supposed to be at the inauguration, but I cannot normalize what is unjust. I can't normalize white supremacy. And so Michelle Obama says, no, I'm not coming. And she says it without explanation. She says it without trying to let folk know why she did it. She just said no. And every now and then, when you see injustice, you have to say no. Whenever you see oppression, you have to say no. Whenever you see white supremacy, declare no. When you see patriarchy, sexism, homophobia, when you see otherism, your responsibility is to say no. Y'all didn't get that. I'll help you. There's a wonderful movie on Netflix right now, and the movie is called The 688. The 688. It's about some super bad sisters. Listen, that's why we win with black women, because black women been winning in the face of injustice and sexism. I gotta shout out my black women. But do you understand, in the 688, this first battalion of sisters to ever go overseas in the art, in war, they go overseas expecting to fight. Instead, they have the responsibility of organizing mail that had stacked up for a long time. And y'all, they go over that with an impossible task, and they're given 6 months to do it. But sisters are so cold, they do it in less than 90 days, because sisters always know how to make something out of nothing and take a mess and perform a miracle. That's what black women have been doing all of their lives. And so y'all, check this out. The sisters go over there, and in inhumane, jacked up conditions, they are able to do the impossible. But of course, it incites those who can't stand the sisters. And so this superior officer has the nerve to go up to Charity Adams and tell her what she's not going to do. And Charity Adams, it's her superior officer, but that bad black woman stands with spine in her, with steel in her spine, and says, over my dead body. And he says, excuse me. And then she began to recite the conditions they had been overcoming and all the hell they had to deal with. And she said, our first war is being a Negro. And so I say it again, over my dead body. Y'all miss your shout right there. In essence, she was saying, I'm going to resist even though you're my superior officer, because ain't nothing inferior about me. And I'm going to stand for what's right, stand for what's just, and I'll do anything to fight for what is right. As a consequence, she said, over my dead body. He had to back down because he had been verbally smacked down. And as a consequence, she said and says to us from eternity, when you see injustice, you stand up and fight. And if someone tells you to move, you say, in the words of Charity Adams, over my dead body. Resilience in our resistance. And when we have resilience in our resistance, the beautiful thing is we will fight for a reconstruction that brings about redemption. Reconstruction. Why do I say that? You know why? Because 1965, March 7th, led to August 7th. August 7th, Lyndon Baines Johnson signs the Voting Rights Bill, and now voting rights are protected in the country. At that time, they were protected in this country. A Voting Rights Bill was signed. What did Dr. King do? Dr. King didn't just give great speeches. Dr. King changed the law, and when he changed the law, he was restructuring the country. That is why the Civil Rights Movement is known as what? The Second Reconstruction. The reconstruction of a country that in a real sense had to deal with its fatal flaws, to use the language of James Baldwin. Fatal flaw. I like that. A few years ago, the Boeing 737 was taken out of service because there were a few plane crashes involving the 737. That's when they discovered there was a structural flaw, and the structural flaw cause the 737s to go down this weekend as we get ready to move into a Project 2025 nation. We are simply saying the nation has some structural flaws, and until we deal with the structural flaws of a nation that was born in the sin of a genocidal takeover and shaped by the iniquity of anti-black white supremacy, that's a structural flaw. And until we deal with the structural flaw that sees black people as less than human, that otherizes people who don't look like white males, you indeed have a structural flaw. We've got to deal with the structural flaw. Y'all not feeling this, but you do know Dr. King, in his last speech as president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, his annual address, he closed it out by saying, America must be born again, meaning your total structure has to be redone. You've got to be reconstruction. Y'all still not getting this. I'll help you. Jeremiah Wright blesses me when Jeremiah Wright said, if you bake a cake, watch this, if you bake a cake, pull it out the oven, and then it hits you, OM to the Jeezy, I forgot to put sugar in the batter. Are you going to pour sugar on top of the cake? No, baby Baba, you're going to rebake the cake because the cake has been constituted wrong, and a wrongly constituted cake, you can't pour sugar on top of it and hope to get a good cake. Thank you, Dr. Wright, because Dr. Wright lets all of us know that America sadly was wrongly constituted when she said we were less than human, 3/5 of a human being. And Baldwin says it's our present predicament that is rooted in black people not being seen as human. We have to rebake the cake. And when we rebake the cake, we're going to take money out of politics. When we rebake the cake, we're going to have real quality, affordable health care for everyone. When we rebake the cake, we're going to make college education something that everyone can afford and experience. When we rebake the cake, we're going to create a nation where everyone does not live by a minimum wage, but by a living wage. We've got to rebake the cake. When we rebake the cake, we're going to pass there not only the John Lewis voting rights bill, but we need to have a constitutional amendment that says voting rights is protected in this country. We've got to rebake the cake if this is to be a nation of liberty and justice for all. Well, I guess the last thing I'll share is this, and that is that we have to, in this age, I guess I was going to say this, but I want to say this, and that is, don't judge me, we got to step up for the squabble up. Okay, I thought I had more folk from the culture in the house. Squabble up, squabble up. It's an LA term, and we pray for LA. Squabble up. LA means either get ready to dance or ready to fight. Dance or fight. Squabble up. And y'all, this is no time to back down. It's time to squabble up. We will not surrender to a Project 2025 nation. We're going to squabble up. We're not going to give in to the oligarchs and the plutocrats. We're going to squabble up. We're going to stand for those Dr. King stood for. Don't forget that when King was assassinated, he was standing with striking sanitation workers and organizing the Poor People's Campaign because King king knows and knew that every nation will be judged by what it does for the least of these. No wonder Jesus said in the judgment, I'm going to separate the nations, the sheep from the goats, and I'm going to say, I was hungry and you fed me, thirsty, you gave me something to drink. Let me remix it because y'all not getting it. Freddie Haynes remix it. Here it is. I was hungry and you cut aid to dependent children. I was thirsty and you contaminated water in Flint, Michigan, in Seagoville, Texas, and in Jackson, Mississippi. I was in prison because of your new Jim Crow. I was a stranger and you built a wall, and you might as well go to hell. And America's gonna say, but gee, when did we do this? Inasmuch as you did it to the least of these, my sisters and brothers, you're also doing it unto me. This ain't no time to give up. This is the time to squabble up. Greg Carr says this is the age of heroes now. It's time to put on your cape and get your mind straight, because it's time now. This is now. If they can march through Bloody Sunday, surely we can fight through what will take place in the next administration. Okay. So how do you do that? I close with this. Marie Daniel Favor, she has an amazing show every morning on Sirius XM 126 Urban View. It's a social justice oriented show, but she begins each show with what she calls her most important segment, a centering moment, a moment of gratitude. It's a trip. She's about to discuss issues of justice, injustice, economics, politics, all of that, but she starts it out spiritually. And I get it, because Howard Thurman says you've got to live the outer life from the inward sanctuary. Y'all didn't feel Howard. Let me give you Lauryn Hill. Lauryn Hill says, how you gonna win if you ain't right within? And so she begins with this centering moment. Last year she did one that blew me away. I had to download it on my mental computer. Now I oratorically print y'all a copy. Here is what she said. She tells the story. Well, first she based it on Thurgood Marshall's dictum to his law students and proteges. Thurgood Marshall said, do what's right and let the law catch up. That's good, huh? Because everything legal ain't right. A lot of stuff has been legal, but it hadn't been right. Slavery, legal, but not right. Women not having the right to vote, legal, but not right. Black folk not having the right to vote, legal, but not right. I could go on and on about the fact that everything legal ain't right, so you've got to do what's right and let the law catch up. And then Laree shared this story of a teacher in a classroom, third grade classroom. And the teacher stands up beside her desk. On the desk is a bowl with water and a goldfish swimming around in it. The students are looking at the goldfish excited. They love the beauty of the goldfish. And the teacher says, oh, you see the goldfish? They say, yes, ma'am. And then she says, I'm about to take this goldfish out of the water, put it on the desk, and I'm going to leave the room. If any of you rescue the goldfish, put it back in the water, you'll be expelled from this school. And y'all, she took the goldfish out of the bowl. It was swimming in a structure that was designed for it to thrive. And she takes it out of the bowl and places it on a desk, a structure that is designed for its demise. I think I park right there, because a lot in this nation don't get that racism, sexism, it has nothing to do with people just being mean to you, but everything to do with structures. Structures, watch this, that if you're not careful, some structures are not designed for you to thrive. They are designed for you to either be destroyed or at least decline. And so it's about structures. Black folk ain't at the top of negative stats because we are inferior. We're not at the bottom of positive stats because we're inferior, but everything to do with educational, economic, political, social structures and the structures are not set up for us to thrive. That's why we must rebake the cake. That's why America must be born again. Watch it. The goldfish is now on the desk, gasping for air, flipping and flopping. The teacher walks out of the room, shuts the door behind her, and then the students sit there petrified, horrified, watching the goldfish fight for its life. But they have been threatened with expulsion. And finally, one little girl gets up and she runs, grabs the goldfish. It hops out of her hand. She looks at her classmates. Are y'all gonna let the fish die? They all get up together. They surround the fish. They capture the fish, put it back in the bowl, and rush back to their seats. The door opens. In walks the teacher. The teacher says, "Congratulations. I'm so proud of you." The lesson for today was always do what's right regardless of the consequences. I'm done. I'll see y'all. Go on to the Super Bowl, Lions. I'm simply trying to say it may get rough in the days ahead, but you do what's right regardless of the consequences. Why? Because Common one more time said, Selma is now for every man, woman, and child. Even Jesus got his crown in front of a crowd. Why? Because we know Good Friday wasn't the end of the story, because the story is he got his crown through the struggle, through the suffering, and we can get our crown because we shall overcome. Deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome. Y'all didn't feel that? Let me go with Kendrick Lamar. All's my life I had to fight. If God's got us, we gonna be all right. We gonna be all right because God will have the last word. We gonna be all right, so let us march on till victory is won.
We not blessed today by a powerful and prophetic voice of Reverend Dr. Brother Frederick Douglass Haynes III. And we just wanted to give him this tribute in honor of his presence in challenging us and blessing us today. Thank you, Reverend Dr. Haynes.
Okay, now I'm knowing how Kim Trent felt. Sorry about that, Kim. Another round of applause for Dr. Haynes, please. Very quickly, thank you to everyone at Wayne State who made today possible. Thank you again to our sponsors, to you, our audience, for being here. Today's program was taped and will be available throughout the day after 10 a.m. on Monday, January 20th, the King holiday, at wayne.edu/live. Those of you who have your programs, that is in there, 10 a.m. Monday, you'll be able to watch it. I suggest watching it on your television on the Wayne State YouTube channel to get the full effect of it. And as you exit, those of you who have the green bracelets, you'll be staying for our sponsors reception, so please go to your left. All other guests, we thank you so much for being here. Please go to the right to exit the building. Thank you. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next year. Thank you.